Taking a look at ISM Manufacturing data for May, PMI coming in at 48.5, representing the third consecutive month of contraction. The number declining slightly compared to April's 48.7 reading. Here to break down the full report, we've got Susan Spence, ISM Manufacturing Business Survey Committee Chair. Susan, great to speak with you this morning. Talk to me about your takeaway here, just a little bit of a contraction in this headline number.
Sure thing. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it. Not surprisingly, we've dropped another 0.2 percentage points. The analysis we're doing is seeing a continued weakening of demand. Backlog, new export orders, which were down about 3 percentage points. New orders down. Not a surprise. Customer inventory, the other piece of demand, still pretty low, and we think that's positive. Customers have to reorder at some point. But really, for the 6 months, the biggest concern with the panelists remains tariffs. 86% of our panelists mentioned that in their headline comments. The sentiment this month, for every positive comment, there were over 5 negative comments about the tariffs. You could read it in the report. People are worried. I'm seeing comments comparing it to COVID, saying it's worse. And having lived through that as a procurement executive, didn't think I would see that at some point. So they remain those concerns. Production and employment had a little bit slower contraction, but it is certainly still contracting. So we continue to see layoffs happening. We have a hiring versus what we call force manage. For every person hiring, there's 1.5. That's worse than last month. People that are not replacing folks are laying off.
Yeah. Well, no, Susan, I wanted to follow up on that because that's really interesting, because the employment number to me looked like a potential bright spot, a silver lining within the report. But then I hear you saying perhaps when you look even more under the hood, it's not. Talk to me about the takeaway from this month's data on employment specifically.
Sure. So, it's difficult, but we know companies need to look at their cost structure. And if that demand is not coming in and production is low, they need to do something. Rather attrition, not backfill someone, than have to lay somebody off. The fact is both are happening, and layoffs are happening at a greater rate than the other two. So, with the uncertainty, at least my experience in almost 38 years in the business world is, with uncertainty, you do not hire people because you don't want to have to turn around and let them go. So there's price uncertainty, there's supply uncertainty. Suppliers are taking longer to deliver their product. We think that's still a hangover from port congestion, but it's also likely due to not understanding who's going to pay for tariffs and wondering if they're even going to happen.
And Susan, my guest host Jay Woods has a question for you.
Hey, Susan. Do seasonal factors come into play here as well as we go into the summer season? We've gotten through the Christmas holiday season. Cold winter, I know, had an impact on things. What are the next seasonal factors you're looking for that could get this number to uptick back above 50, perhaps?
We have, of course, the seasonal, non-seasonal. We have an index for that so that we can normalize it. I believe this is beyond the normal. It's the production numbers are down. There's certain industries that should be up by now. There's just not enough of the industries that are entering growth territory. And if you look at the overall sub-indexes, especially around demand, pardon me. And then the inputs are another story. The supplier deliveries continue to take longer. In great times, that means that they're so flush with work that they just have a hard time getting their product out. We don't believe that's the case. The inventory number on the input side was interesting to me too. So that is in contraction this month. That makes sense to me, because if you're not getting a whole lot of new orders and you're getting even less new export orders, your backlog is burning down and your inventory is starting to deplete. That kind of makes sense to us. And also the import, you saw that import number. It dropped 7.2 percentage points in 1 month. The number this month is the lowest reading since May of 2009, 16 years ago, right? So that is worrisome, yet it makes sense given what's going on. And prices, of course, remain high, the increases slow down a bit. So there's seasonality, but this is a very different time. And I pay a lot of attention to what these purchasing managers across 18 industries are saying. And having lived through that myself over 38 years, I get their pain. So the only thing that can help is certainty, and whatever is going to finally be happening with the individual countries, let's please get on with that and get some certainty here so that customers place orders, the backlog can grow, stop laying off people, replace those that have left, and kind of return to health.
Susan, really appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.